here in this sermon series, and I think it's kind of funny. The last 3 sermons, I think I've done. Christmas Eve wasn't this way, but I've done around Christmas songs, which I think is funny. Like when I was younger, I promised that I would never be the guy that preaches on hymns. But you know, if you wait along, you'll find out that you become the enemy yourself. So that's the way this goes. So we're talking about "Oh Holy Night." "Oh Holy Night's a beautiful song when you listen to people sing it. It's kind of a hard song to sing congregationally, so we don't sing it a ton congregation. We do sometimes though, because it has that one part in it. And you guys know when you're watching whether or not the singer can actually hit the note. You know, it has all kinds of drama in it involved. But it's a beautiful song filled with like deep theology. And here's the beginning of it. You know, "Oh Holy Night." I'm not going to sing it. Like that's, yeah. Oh, come on. We love to watch a train wreck. Like the stars are brightly shining. It's the light of our dear Savior's birth. Long lay the world. You know, you get it. Yeah. We love this song. Do you know what we never sing in the song though? Is the second verse. I think there's a couple reasons for this. I'm going to play the song after the sermon here. It doesn't sing the second verse either. And I think the reason why is the song's already long. It's already long, and just adding it on there, it adds. But the second verse is all about the wise men, about the Magi. So here's the second verse here. "Led by the light, the faith serenely beaming, with glowing hearts by his cradle we stand. So led by light of stars sweetly gleaming, here come the wise men from Orient land. The King of Kings lay thus in lowly manger, in all our trials born to be our friend. He knows our need, to our weakness is no stranger. Behold your King, before him lonely bend." You know, so that "behold your King," I can't sing. So, but that's before your King and the great. It's all about the Magi. It's all about the wise men from the Orient East. And I love the wise men part of the story because it is the most, I think, misunderstood part. Or not understood part at all, because I think we just like the idea of like 3 kings coming up with gifts, and like, where did they come from? It's like, I don't care, I just like the kings, right? And then they're over there and they're like, well, where'd they go afterwards? I don't know, I just like the kings. But Matthew has this whole thing going on around that story. So who are these guys? Who are the wise men? What do we know? Well, they're wise men. That's why we call them wise men, right? They're from the East. You're like, listen, I get all of this. I understand all that. They would have been most likely astrologers. Let's throw in a fun word to call that. They most likely would have been sorcerers or magicians. Now, I don't know about you, but when I grew up, I was not allowed to watch the Harry Potter stuff. How things have changed, right? It's like Christians, we do not deal with magic. Well, what about David Copperfield? No David Copperfield in this house. Like over there, poor Alicia, you don't even know who David Copperfield is, do you? Yeah, see? So she's probably more well aware of the book than anything else. Like, he was a magician in the 90s. He hid the Statue of Liberty. Like that's so. But it's like sorcery, right? It's over there. And I remember and I was already married to Coley. When we went to the seminary, it was right when that last Harry Potter book came out. And I kind of grew up under this tinge of like, no, anything that deals with magic and sorcery and all that stuff, it's evil. It's evil. Like if I had said back then in a church, it's like the 3 sorcerers came and bowed down before Jesus, people would like clutch their pearls. How dare you? Right? Like you can't desecrate the holy story of God's beloved baby Jesus, dear baby Jesus, right? Like that, you can't do that. And that would have been the way. But these guys, they were sorcerers. And when I was in seminary there, I saw they delivered all those books of the Harry Potter books, and there were just stacks of them all around the mailroom. And I was like, there's a lot of sinners here in the seminary. There's a lot of sinners. But don't worry, Coley corrupted me. Like I'm now on board, and like all that stuff, so much so that we do the devil's bidding in the other building. Well, at least we did all fall, right? Like so that's kind of what you see, and that's kind of the evolving of the faith. And but you need to understand that, because there's no reason why these guys would have been there. The other thing that's interesting about these guys that were there, these sorcerers, magicians, the three wise men, kings, they were king makers in and of themselves. Okay? They were people that would have recognized what was going on and kind of overall blessings of these kings coming up. So that would have been them as well. And so they weren't Jewish. They weren't Jewish, yet they find themselves bowing down to this Jewish king. And this story, if you were a good Jewish boy or girl reading Matthew's gospel, you would have gotten to that point, and two things would have come up. You would have remembered Isaiah, but you also would have been scandalized. You would have been like me about Harry Potter in the seminary. Look at all these sinners here, right? Like this, how dare these sorcerers come and bow down before the king? It would have been scandalous, and I can prove it to you. It's in the Bible. You never really think about it. Remember, where did the wise men go first? They went to where? You guys are saying like 9 different answers right now. They went to Herod. That's what you were saying, yeah. Like that. They went to Jerusalem. They went to Herod. And what was Herod's reaction first? Like he was like, what? Like he didn't make it public, but he was very greatly scandalized, wasn't he? He was greatly scandalized that these guys were there. But also, if you've never caught, I should have put it on the screen, but it said that all Jerusalem with them were scandalized. The whole city, like they heard that these guys showed up and they said that there's a new king, and everyone in Jerusalem collectively clutched their pearls and began to fan themselves, right? Like they couldn't have it. It's absolutely scandalous that Matthew has, speaking to this Jewish audience, this worldly folk, these outsiders, there at the Savior of mankind, God incarnate, being born. The song, O Holy Night, is also scandalous. Scandalous. It is. So, O Holy Night was written back in 1843. And back then in France, there was this church that was in the middle of this big renovation of their church organ. And they were so excited about this newly church organ that they commissioned that a song for the Christmas season would be commissioned for it to be played on this organ when it was opened back up at Christmas time. And this excited church commissioned a local poet to write the song for the church and this organ. That song's O Holy Night, that we know it. That's not its original title, though. Its original title is Midnight Christians in French, whatever that is. I'm about to say a French name because his name is Placide Capito? Capito? There we go. I'm not good with the French. I just eat the fries, and you guys know that. So Capito, he wrote the lyrics, and he hired Adolphe Adams to compose the music for the piece. So this new song, which we know as O Holy Night, was commissioned for this remade organ, and in that town, it instantly became a hit. But it also was scandalous. It also was scandalous. Because just as quickly as it grew in popularity in that town, the other righteous people of Jerusalem, the other churches in this French area, began to stop singing it, began to hate it, began to, in the words of 2021, began to cancel it, right? They couldn't stand it. You know why they cancel? Why would they cancel such a beautiful song with such rich, theologically acute lyrics? It's because Capito, right? Did I do it right that time? Sounds like a cookie. All right. So Capito was an atheist. And Adolphe Adams, was an Orthodox Jew. Oh, man. And this caused such a scandal. So many righteous churches clutched their pearls We can't have sorcerers at the birth of Jesus. I mean, we can't have these non-Christians making songs for us to sing. Maybe you can tell where I'm going. Look at how God used that song, though. Think about it for just a moment. It so clearly points to Jesus and God leading people to Jesus. Who knows in the last 170 years how many people who got to hear those words being sung were led closer to Jesus and to experience the freedom that he has given us. Written off the pen of what could be modern day sorcerers, right? Modern day wise men, right? Who find themselves writing these rich theological texts. In fact, this song became a huge hit in the U.S. about the 1850s. And the reason why is the abolitionist movement. Movements that are obsessed with freedom, right? The modern abolitionist movement, who was going against what the Confederacy was doing and the slavery that was happening in this country, and how we were holding an entire people group down. They picked up on the third verse of it, and they brought it over and translated it to English, and it became the huge hit, and we sing almost every week now. God used an Orthodox Jew and an atheist to lead countless people to Jesus and hope in him. You see that? You see the hope in that? It's the most unexpected story, and that right there is the idea of Epiphany. That is the idea of the story in Matthew, that God is leading the most unlikely people to come and bow down and worship Jesus and experience the freedom that he brings. And look at that third verse. We all know this one, that is talking about the freedom. Truly, he taught us to love one another. His law is love, and his gospel is peace. Chains shall he break, for the slave is our brother. And in his name, all oppression shall cease. Sweet hymns of joy in grateful chorus raise we. Let all within us praise his holy name. And what's the next? It's like, Christ is the Lord, his name. Like it keeps on going up. I can't do it. My voice is scratchy because I was trying. Like I'm kidding. I wasn't trying. In the car by myself and in the shower. But that's beside the point. But that's what Jesus is all about. Is that he goes to the people who are oppressed, who are outsiders, and restores them to God. God is bringing freedom to all these people. And many times those people are the ones that are the sorcerers. That find themselves at the foot of a manger. It's not a manger, he's a child, but you know what I'm saying. It's about this freedom, giving freedom to the oppressed, giving freedom, giving hope to those that have been put down. And I think it's amazing that the modern American abolitionist movement, the ones that said slavery is no more, that this is oppression, those are the oppressors, is the reason why to this day we sing that song. Unbelievable. People yearning for freedom. People to give it out. And you can see this is the same beat that Matthew is doing. Matthew is talking about the exact same theme because Herod freaks out with all of Jerusalem with him. You're like, what are you talking about, another king? We can't have another king. We've got Herod. He's a good king. We're all getting wealthy with Herod in charge and all that stuff. We don't care who we oppress. They didn't say that. They just let it happen. And so you look at what Matthew does. And you see Herod gets incensed and angry, and he kills firstborn children, which instantly our minds should go, at least to the Jewish audience, will go straight back to the Exodus, back to Moses. And then in case you miss it, Matthew then goes, hey, did you notice where Jesus fled to? When he fled like a refugee and left when people were trying to kill him, did you notice where he fled to? To Egypt. Out of Egypt I have called my son, is what is said. God is leading Jesus to recreate the story of God's freedom. Freedom from the oppressors, freedom from all those that hold down, freedom from all of those things that God is leading them into there, not so that they become powerful and oppressors themselves, but they would see that it's not just his people. To Jesus, it's not just his people, the Jews, that are there, but those who are far off, even those Magi, those sorcerers. All of us who can't seem to get it right here, that they come and they find themselves bowing down and worshiping. I think this is such good news for us, because the truth of the matter is, I don't really think we deserve to be here. I know I don't. I don't deserve to be here at the foot of a cross, at the foot of a manger. But somehow God has given me, has given us the faith to see Jesus, so that with the wise men, with those sorcerers, we may bow down and worship. And some of us, we may be farther out than others. We may not see it, all that. But what Matthew wants us to see is that it's God who leads us in. That if those Magi, sorcerers, or wise men can be there, then so can the most unlikely of people today. And if a church can be edified and encouraged by an Orthodox Jewish composer and an atheist poet, then maybe us, who have messed up so much in our own lives, can give our gifts to Jesus as well. And we'll enjoy the song.
Dear Savior's birth.
Not bad, huh? So yeah, so that's what I think when the prophets say, "Hey, all the nations will bow down." We're included in that, and that's good news. So, thank you so much for just being here today.